I don't know if we get quite serious enough to do. But he can go do his own thing. Do whatever he wants to do. He's kind of got, he's one of those guys that's got sense. And I'm not that guy.
And it's logically,
And I'm okay with it.
If they're there, that's fine. If not,
If I see it, I'll shoot it maybe.
he doesn't realize his job.
Sure, I am.
My
I'm
job
not a license
is
slash.
and then
I used to go.
so I just think about how much I think he's running.
You what?
Still,
Oh, yeah.
check their stations. To get somebody that's overseas and they
You never really know. So
that's the way it's supposed to work.
we've been fishing.
They're fishing every day.
Yeah.
The snakes are supposed to come
I
out.
didn't think about it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh,
This
they
was
just
my,
might-
this
They're
there.
catching fish. So he has lots of catfish.
Well, our
That's
governors.
it smells like well, I don't think it's gonna stay on your cup when you try this.
And
I
it's,
throw
you
that
know,
away.
such
Put it back, so you put that down there.
Did you have some H2S training or what happened?
It was a 4th of July accident. Yeah, after the fireworks.
Beard on fire?
No, not that good.
and that's why.
I was, I had early morning meeting Sunday, I thought I was gonna shave tonight. So it's a little bit before bedtime, shaving my head with my razor, and I got to here and I turned, I forgot to drop the radio. I'm like, yes. So I thought, I can salvage the goatee. I couldn't salvage the goatee, so I wanted to save the mustache. Now it's playing out for this is so I
State runners, that's why we have.
my daughter's on this
Everybody's focused on.
My clock says it's 5:30.
banned from.
Banned from the Clippers, yeah.
I grew my hair still.
So let's get started. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here.
Exactly.
This is a work session here tonight, so we won't be making any decisions. But we can certainly talk and discuss whatnot. It's a fairly informal meeting for the most part. So we'll just jump right into it. And the first item on our agenda is Mr. Kennedy.
Oh boy.
I thought you were gonna be late for a minute, but you weren't. So welcome, and what's on your mind, sir?
Close enough. So I guess here, Jason Kennedy, here in town with Edward Jones, been here 18, 19 years now, but looking at building an office actually we're exploring 2 different options. And one of them is just like literally right there.
It's where the old Billy Fields house was, I think. Is that right?
I don't know, next to the R&R Sewing and
Yep.
Anyway, so looking at that space, another space I'm looking at, just working through some details. With regards to that space, there's a few quirks from my firm's standpoint with regards to ADA compliance. We would need to create an extra parking spot that would be handicap parking spot. And I realize that parking's at a premium downtown, and there are parking lots that do have some handicap parking lots, but I'm happy to pass a few of these around if you want to look. They're just maps of this area. And I tried to highlight on there a few of the handicap parking spots that are down there. I was actually surprised at how many are in this downtown area. More than I thought, but they get fewer and fewer as we come this way, probably just because there's not as many office buildings. And so my petition would not necessarily be to say, hey, and City Council, you guys would approve it eventually as you discussed it, but would just be to propose it to this group of saying something to consider, be to create a space there, because I wouldn't be able to build an office there without ADA compliance. And that would require a parking spot there in front. I guess as hopefully a consolation for that, the hope would be with the building that we're building was to create about 7 parking spots in the back. That would hopefully help with the downtown parking. And so the question was posed to me, why wouldn't you just create handicap parking back there on your own lot, on your own property? And the hard part about that would be how they would get to the front entrance. Not a lot of space on those property lines from what we were wanting to build. So that's kind of the dilemma. Just wanted you to, I guess, think about it. Like I said, if you want to, I don't know who all
Sure.
wants one of these.
Yeah,
You can take one and pass it around. These are some of the handicap parking spots that are there. This one is a little zoomed in area of the area that we're looking at building, so take one of those as well. And I'm not proposing that you put a handicap on both sides, but there's a question mark there for one or the other potentially on the sides. It would not be required that we have it directly in front of our office, just on that side of the road. And currently there is nothing there. If you look at the other map, there is one across the road at the post office, and actually in the post office parking lot, but that would require whoever's handicapped to cross that road, which probably wouldn't be ideal. So, any questions for me?
Would it need to have a curb cut? I mean, when you, so it would.
It would.
Have, okay.
We
So
talked
it's not a
about
matter
that.
of just painting, it's a matter of also curb cut.
Correct. Yeah. Because there's nowhere on that side of the street that it's already cut. We've talked about it as part of our building process to include that in it, so it wouldn't necessarily be a city expense, but we include that in our expense if we were to choose this site.
So you're looking at 1137?
Yeah, it's actually, I think 1150. It's that empty lot right next to
Oh, okay.
the landscaping place was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That we're building.
There's 3 lots there. We'd be looking at consolidating those into one. Not that this matters to you guys, but there's an issue with the property line on the R&R sewing that would require them to sign off on us having a 0 setback provision. I still haven't got that formalized yet. It's been a tough process.
Okay.
So if that doesn't happen, and I don't want to, this would be off the table.
Yeah.
I can't set it back 15
If the
feet.
agreement between you and R doesn't happen, then that, I understand.
It'd be 15 feet off the property line, I think, is what we talked about. We're doing 12, is it 12? 12 feet off the property line, and I just think that cut too much into that space. So working through some details there, that's why there's another option available.
It's all right, Jason. Gordon, Damon, chime in here.
Mr. Kennedy's right. On that respective side of the street, there is no designated handicap parking at this time. Most of everything else we have in this downtown area is a handicap stall in the very last stall closest to the ADA intersection. Did you by chance confirm with Edward Jones if that was close enough?
It was, yeah.
So if anything, maybe the consideration would be pocket one on the ends like we currently have, so they can just go directly to that corner.
Get on the sidewalk and then
The best, in my opinion, the best corner would be the one closest to us to get out of that busier intersection of 11th and Main. But I disagree with his request. And again, if he puts a few stalls in the back that are for employee parking, that's less of his employees that are back in the street that everybody can use as well.
Do you see problem at all with what I can't imagine but you guys are the ones that see that stuff firsthand, see the impacts.
I don't see anything with it. It's signed right, painted right, and everything. It's not an issue.
Questions for Mr. Kennedy? He's a smart guy, he'll answer all of them.
I have a couple questions. So what's the nature of your business, and do you anticipate having, handicapped or disabled people coming on a regular basis?
Actually, yeah. So financial advisor, do retirement planning, investments. Today, I had 2 clients come in that were requiring some handicap accessibility. Not saying they're in a wheelchair, but definitely steps are difficult for them.
Sure.
We don't have that many clients come in on a day-to-day basis that require it.
But you're talking an older generation.
But definitely, I would 70% of my clients are probably 55 and older.
Yeah.
And so they'll continue to age, and maybe an ongoing challenge.
We hope.
You know, that continuation part.
So the building you're in now, you don't own
I do not. Yeah, Dave Croft actually bought it a year ago.
But if there is consideration of a more big block, you know, it does take 2 parking spaces for the trade-off of 1. That's maybe why the end parking stall is
Gotcha.
maybe more enticing. It's whatever's driven. But yeah, I think it could fit and function just like the others do.
And not, you know, I guess just as an argument for the handicap parking spot, you know, you've got iron and ivory, or I always get ivory and iron, is that what it is?
Same boat, right?
Yeah, you've got the new shop there that Brandon Lamb built. You've got Tony J Studios there, and so I think there's enough businesses, and hopefully more to come in this particular spot, whether through me or somebody else. I think it would justify a handicap in that area.
Would you allow, say, Ivory and Iron or anybody downtown to use your parking lot, or are you hoping to kind of privatize it, or what's the hope there?
So actually, 2 of the spaces, like I say, we're hoping to get 7 spots in the back if that's the direction we go. We would have staff of probably 5 to 6 people. I don't think I would put up a sign that says Edward Jones parking only, but I guess I couldn't stop you.
But after hours, if somebody wanted to park there to go to show house.
Yeah, we're going down around 5. So.
Parade, Roof Fest.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I would have no
Anytime
intention
you're
of
close.
closing that off. We wouldn't be using it, so.
You put signage, you know, no parking during these hours or something like that.
I think I have a granddaughter that calls it Ivory and Ivory. Ivory.
We actually had a lovely woman come before council a while ago that she wasn't permanently disabled, she just had an injury and older, and she was bringing to our attention that we didn't have enough curb cutouts or door, and they weren't close enough to the businesses, and it was pretty eye-opening, because I see all the handicap spaces, but I haven't needed to use them, so I'm aware of that, and it helps with somebody who's injured as well.
Yeah.
Are you proposing 1 or 2 of them?
Just one. That's kind of why it's question mark. We talked about it. I had agreed. I think that spot is already pretty tight, closest to the light. I'd say probably on this end would be best.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Just because it's a lot less crowded.
But that's still close enough.
Would that require, maybe this question for public, you guys or Mark, would that require any formal action as far as the city council goes to create that?
I think, Mr. Mayor, that could be done administratively with Public Works
I would
and
think so.
Planning. And maybe they could meet with Mr. Kennedy and come up with a plan and then just document it, put it in writing.
Okay.
But in a letter form and say this is what we decided.
If he truly builds that building, it could be part of the building permit package and sales for that regard.
Okay. Does that fix the problem?
It does, and I guess in full disclosure, I'm exploring 2 different options. This is one of them. This was one of the biggest hurdles I would have to come over to get it approved from my end.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to take this step. If we don't go this direction, like I said, I've been in talks with Brandon Lamb, who owns the property currently, and we're exploring some other ideas for some development down there if we don't do it. So that's just full disclosure.
Sure.
May not happen, but this was one big hurdle I had to overcome.
Excellent. Sounds great. Sounds great to me.
These 2
Sounds like a small hurdle, man.
Yeah.
These two spots, one's in front of Ivory and Iron, one's in front of Tony J. You talked to both of them.
It's told Tony J is selling her studio. I don't know if anybody else has heard that.
Break it down.
But, so, I have not talked to her at this point.
Say that'd be right in front of it. If we did make that one handicap, it'd be right in front of the building.
At least before we make it official.
And it wouldn't be bad to do it anyway.
No, I think the whole thing's got value, so I can appreciate you coming in, appreciate your, contribution to our fair community, Casey.
That. Need me for anything else? Anything else on the agenda? That,
Well,
Yeah,
you
maybe
can
we
talk
can
about
feedback
goats
on
if you want.
Goats? I know nothing about goats.
I do.
Well, then stick around.
I'll sneak out then. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Goats,
Goats.
take us away. What do you have in
So,
mind for goats?
we've read through the ordinance and that, and as of right now, there's no livestock in Evanston.
Correct.
Period. There's no roosters, ducks, geese, no goats, no horses allowed in the city limits. Across the US, they have started using goats to graze overgrowth, underbrush, non-native plants. They pin them off and goats come in, they clear it off. You're not using chemicals. You're not using big equipment, tearing things up. I mean, Jason brought up a good point. We have a lot of older people in our community, or soon to be older people, and it's hard for them to stay up on top of their property. We're over on Tobont, and it's 2-acre lots. If you were to drive out to Sulphur Creek, we're the one that is cleared up of the brush, and that as you drive out, we worked really hard on that. And without knowing, we did have goats last year, and they kept it down. We had them in for 3 weeks. They did their job, and then they went back to their home to a local herdsman. It was beneficial for them and us. We didn't have to wrangle a brush hog thing up the side of the hill and possibly injure ourselves, and he got to have pasture rights pretty much down on our lower end. We have a neighbor on both sides of us that have very thick overgrowth of the burdock, which is non-native. We talked to Uinta County Pest and Weed Control, Lauren McCoy, and she said it's a big dilemma trying to stay on top of that. And goats actually eat it. Otherwise, you are spraying it constantly. The only way to get that out is to burn it out. But if you burn, then you're bringing that cheap grass right back in really fast. But our neighbors have even talked about, because they are older, they can't get into it. They're really struggling. There's a couple of lots throughout our whole town that actually could benefit from goats pasteurizing, because there's rocks, there's heavy equipment that could be in, but they're going to damage the land more. Then you throw in where we're at, there's a canal that runs across there, and we can spray, but then you're looking at, if we do have a heavy rain or the monsoons that we used to have, what are we flushing through? So we would like to know if that's a possibility of a discussion and either a change of ordinance or an add to our city ordinance of having goats come in through a herdsman, not to live permanently, but to come in, do their job, and go back to their home.
So are you asking for this for like is this like a I guess for lack of another term, a business opportunity that you guys are wanting to pursue, or just to be able to have?
We just want to use them.
We just want to be able to use the goats on our property. I don't want them year round. I don't want to break water and feed them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the fire hazard too along there 150. I mean, if a motorhome blows a tire or a trailer has sparks it up there, it's going to burn that whole bottom piece of it. And it creeps, like I said, on Tony and Cheryl's and Miss Linda's side, it's clear up above the canal. I mean, it took me a skid steer in 4 years to clean that up down there. It wasn't an overnight deal. And I've got to the point where the goats can maintain it real easy for me. But if I'd have thought about it, I'd probably bought the goats. Would have been cheaper. Got the goats, it would have been cheaper than a skid steer, through the period of time. But I think a lot of people could utilize it. I think there's some empty lots that could utilize it. And like, take this year, Bear River, they shut their water off. Jason could use the feed. We have the feed. It's beneficial for both parties in this case.
I've been doing some research since they reached out. City of Cheyenne and Rock Springs have been using it to clean their canals and ditches because they don't want to spray. I talked to Tim with the fire department. He thought it was a great idea because even the highway department, when they're mowing along the interstate, they hit a rock, it sparks it, they've got a grass fire.
Yeah.
And, I think we could look at something that's temporary, permitted through planning zoning, through a licensed herdman that's insured, and, you know, if they could come and say, this lot's gonna take this many goats and it's gonna take this many days, and then we could get a permit, they do it, they come in. You watch videos on it, they clear it to
It's
the ground,
amazing.
and it's amazing. It's quieter than someone with a lawnmower or brush hog out there.
You throw your tin cans out there and everything, they'll take care of that too, right?
Well, maybe.
I don't know, we haven't had them eat anything that wasn't appropriate yet, but
You see those
there's a
things,
first
kids,
time.
you know, goats eating the tin cans and stuff, but yeah, I never do really thought
And
that.
I don't, I've been watching videos like this.
It's entertaining.
But I know the
It's
city of
pretty
Rock
amazing.
Springs, and Cheyenne and Bowl and Laramie too. The city itself has been utilizing goats to clean a lot of their ditches out. And because they don't want to spray chemicals near ditches.
Yeah.
Because you get that downstream, so.
The city of Albuquerque, there's a gentleman down there that I've been messaging back and forth and asking questions. And he uses them in the city of Albuquerque even, in the metro area, and does that. Our closest ones that actually advertises goat grazing is Afton in Idaho.
Yeah.
But they travel with them and it's pretty amazing.
And they put up the temporary, you know, if it's not fenced in, they'll put up a temporary fence that holds them in. And they cleaned this one lot. Oh, it just took them overnight. It's like, you just clean. I mean, down to the dirt. It was amazing.
And they're very less invasive than bringing in material of heavy equipments. Even our youth through the rec center and that with their weed eaters and mowers, they're mowing over everything. So you're bringing in your goats and you can block them off of what you want eaten and what you don't want eaten, is what we've learned through the process too.
You know, I think maybe part of the process, make sure your neighbors know, hey, we've contracted this guy to bring the goats in. They're going to be 2-3 days, then they're gone. It's clean.
We were even talking, Chet and I, even as the landowner, to go down and be responsible in getting the permit. Of saying, hey, this is who we're using, this is about how many goats are gonna be there, because sometimes they kid on the property. This is how many goats we have coming, and this is how long we expect to have them. And even have the landowner responsible for it.
Right.
Because you know more than sometimes the herdsmen. So, but that's kind of what we're looking at. I don't know if anyone has questions or possible concerns, but
Or what avenue we go from here?
Gordon, you have,
I'm just wondering what kind of waste mess they leave.
really it's not bad. It's small pellets and it's worked right into the ground. It's actually really good for the ground ourselves because we don't have the best ground around
It's better than
here.
what the deer leave me, put it that way.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
well, I think it's my understanding, this would require a change in our city ordinances. And so either we would have to, and Mr. Harris, maybe you can help us, would we need to come up with a whole new standalone ordinance, or could we amend something we already have to include or consider
It would
that
probably,
way?
it would probably be best, Mr. Mayor, if we just enacted a vegetation management plan. They're actually called that.
Mhm.
And it's a separate, either sections or a section. And, she is right. The ordinances that I have seen in other communities, I haven't found one in Wyoming yet, but in other communities, will limit length, limit the number of goats. Some even limit it to no bucks, no males.
Yeah.
But length of time, require a permit, set the permit fee, which we do by our resolution. And those are the concerns. And then there's even some that provide for a notification to your neighbors who have a structure within so many feet of your property where they're going to graze. And then there's standard provisions that says, you can use these, but they can't create a nuisance, which would go to the waste issue, and things like that. But that's typically what they address.
Cheyenne kind of addresses that. Then it also talks about fencing.
Yes.
They use electric fence, it can't be along a walkway or where people will be normally. getting
And
the electric fence.
Those ordinances that I found require either a permanent fence or an electric fence.
And I thought I read they had to have signage too to let people know.
And what we found out last year with the electric fence, you're going through grasses, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And what Jason and I've done, we went down and bought the cattle panels, they're 60 inches tall, 16 feet long. 2 T-posts, one on each end, you can buckle together and you can run them down and around off a couple of trees. And I fenced my place in half a day this year.
I think some of those go, I don't know what to call
Yeah,
it.
well, herdsmen,
Bring their own fencing.
they use the electric netted fences a lot of times.
I've just been watching, it's fantastic.
What, you know,
It really is.
when we first, when I read this agenda this morning, I thought, this is one of those things you could argue both ways.
You
Either
can.
way, I mean, I see the value of what you
can.
guys are talking about, and certainly I see where others, some may be concerned, and maybe just a public education issue might.
What I can
Maybe
tell you is our
that's-
neighbors last year, they didn't even know they were there until I told them they were. I told them I was bringing them in, but they
They didn't know
didn't
when they
even know
arrived.
what day they arrived. Because they don't, they'll make a little noise for the first half a day they're in there, nothing, and like I said, neither neighbor even heard them. And like I said, they're not.
Of course, that particular issue is just a benefit that you have, maybe not everybody else
Yes,
has
exactly,
that
that is,
topographic
yep.
issue that is conducive
That
to
is
that
true.
kind of thing, others might, whatever, but that's all right.
But, I mean, typically the people that got goats, they've got some that are a little quieter than others. They'll put 2 or 3 together if it's a smaller area that are more quiet or whatever, we had, the young ones down there, so they'd get the yapping down there talking. You can hear them a little bit, but it's no different than the barking dogs that got in my neighborhood, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Don't we have an ordinance that deals with vegetation? We wanna just tag it on to that as an amendment?
It's a nuisance ordinance. Yeah, that's its own separate section, councilman, or own separate chapter. I think the current regulation is in chapter 24 zoning, so that's what we will put it.
That just create its own, or do we wanna tag
Yes.
it on to that?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be its own ordinance. Not necessarily its own section, but because
In
there's.
that section, but its own.
Yes.
Own line
Correct.
item, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it, Matt Gordon, is there any places in Evanston, city property, that this would be beneficial to also?
Oh no, there's no weeds anywhere.
Like the city ditch,
Absolutely, we could go.
I mean, that'd be cheaper than putting men in there and just letting them clean that ditch out.
Well, just time. Time alone is, when there's big projects happening, you can put them out there and the herdsman's in charge of them. He checks them, he does the water, all that. Why the city employees are off doing what's a priority.
I just think there'd be some places around
I think as long as.
golf course.
As long as
See
we're.
how those brushes,
I try to keep it in the fairway myself. As long as we write the permit correctly, I think we can address it, all the issues that might come up in that permit.
It would probably take us a little while to massage the ordinance into the right language, but it's certainly something we ought to think about.
I think it'd be
and consider.
beneficial.
Appreciate you bringing it, any more questions?
Just a comment. What I've seen with goats is they take it down to the ground a lot shorter than you would mow.
Mhm.
And a friend in Washington says they use them to control the blackberries, which are
Mhm.
really nasty.
100%. We
For
lived in
us,
Washington for about 10
yeah.
years,
So
and they do.
it's a real positive thing from my point of view.
They're very established and effective in different states. And mostly they use them as fire breaks. Sometimes
Yeah.
there's
fire mitigation was huge, especially this year.
because they get in, and what makes them so effective is not only is their manure good for the soil, and it's, because it just goes, but they get places where we can't. They're goats, and so they're really cleaning the fire dangers, and they're up there where we don't go with our machines. I mean, it's going back to nature is sometimes the most effective way to do something. And I agree with the golf course thing.
I grew up on 110 acres. We used to take a doghouse.
Yeah.
For the doghouse. It would create a big circle.
Crop circle.
It was.
We would move the doghouse.
Yeah.
So we actually used it a lot.
It's big business in some states, you know, it's big.
In
They-
Georgia
those-
with the kudzu
Yeah.
is huge because they actually will climb up so high and then pull those vines down. So it's impressive.
1,000%. That's just
I
so
think it'd be
beneficial.
beneficial, not, it's an income possibly for the city, but also beneficial to the businesses and the private
Environment.
owners.
One
Yeah.
It saves me from weed eating.
Yeah.
One worry
That's fine.
one worry I had was making sure we write it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Because leave some loopholes or you don't write it correctly,
Yeah.
you're gonna have people
But it don't
Abuse it.
keep them all summer.
Yeah.
keeping them all summer or raising them and thinking that it's okay.
I don't really want them all summer.
We just need to make sure the permitting and the ordinance speaks correctly.
That's why I say it'll
Well,
take a while to
and-
massage that.
Like our place, I mean, if I only have 6 goats in there, I'd have them in there all summer. Because it depends on when I bring them in. Now, it might be another thing too, don't limit it to one time, because I might need to bring them in early. If it dries out, I'll put them in there for a 2-week period, let that thing grow back, and I might come back later in there with them too. So don't limit somebody to just a one-time,
That's what I'm saying, we
Yeah.
gotta massage that. so-
massage that so that you don't get boxed in a corner.
Maybe that's where, maybe talking to some of the goat owners that know their goats really well and knowing that if I have this many goats, how much time would it take to do a half acre? And knowing that better.
Bring in somebody that knows what
Mhm.
they're doing to
Yeah.
help with writing the ordinance.
I mean, truly,
Yeah.
it might be beneficial for that too.
We will look into it.
I appreciate it
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
We'll do some research and some study.
You'll get hooked into those videos too.
Probably will.
It's so fun watching it. It is like,
Sucks you right in, huh?
yeah, I didn't get much sleep last night.
You're watching goats.
It's better than streaming sheep, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't go there.
you went there.
Stream sheep. Just
Anyway,
But
any
thank
other
you.
questions or anything you else wanna, anybody else got any questions?
your property looks nice.
Thank you.
Driving up 150, that looks nice. Tell where you guys live.
Yeah.
Just so that you know, you probably already know this, but an ordinance, is kind of it doesn't happen overnight.
Mhm.
So
No,
we'll
we
have to,
do.
do some studying, some
Yeah.
research, and then our attorneys will help us, with the language, and that might get massaged back and forth, and ultimately
Yeah.
it takes a series of approvals,
3 meetings.
and 3 readings
Okay.
to do that. So the wheels kind of turn a little slower than
Yeah.
sometimes anybody wants them to, but that's just the way it's.
And it's
The way
done
things
right,
are.
that's the main thing of knowing, like I said, talking to the goat owners to see how long
Yeah.
and setting it up so there isn't the abuse that we lose it later.
Yeah.
Cause it is something that is wonderful to try.
But,
Now, do we need to attend each one of these meetings, or how does this work forward?
I would
on
think,
our part?
I think we can, you're welcome to.
Okay.
I mean, please know, this is a public meeting, and
Yeah.
all of other meetings will be public, and so
Yeah.
none of this will be done in private at all. So
Gotcha.
you're welcome to attend at any
Okay.
time, but it wouldn't be required.
Okay,
Now, if you wanna come and provide input, something, please
yeah.
do.
Well, we did talk to the goats that we use.
Mhm.
Their owner's working right now, so he couldn't make it, but he
Okay.
would be more than willing to come down
Okay.
and,
I think just check up on it and see where it's at. Probably check with Mark's office and see where they're at.
okay.
I think you
We
had
have their, Mr. Mayor, we have their contact
Yes.
information, so
Excellent.
I'll get working on that, work with Mr. Jacobson, Gordon and Damon. And then we'll put something together, and then Ms. Blair will let you know when it
Okay.
comes up again.
Yeah.
And
Appreciate it very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much. Vaping, Mr. Harris, now that we're at the goat stage.
Sounds much fun.
Now let's vape.
It's always fun.
Always fun to vape. Yeah.
You just wait, you're so cynical now, you wait till you're gonna be all like droopy eyed tomorrow morning because you're gonna be up all night watching goat videos. It's so
Well,
satisfying
I
to
can
watch
almost-
them go and clear some.
Yeah, it's fun.
so at a discussion at one of our recent regular meetings, there was a question about, excuse me, whether vaping was controlled by the city's, smoking in public places ordinance. That ordinance was adopted in December of 2006, and it actually went into effect the following September. can't remember the reasons why that was, but in any event, so it's been out there for almost 20 years now. And so to consider whether or not vaping is included in the code, I did look at that and determine that under the definition sections of section 10-2, section 10, or chapter 10 deals nothing with 17 sections of the smoking ordinance. So the way to address it, in my view, was to amend section 10-2, the definition section of the smoking ordinance, if you will, to specifically refer to electronic smoking devices, which you can see in the red underline is a proposed add. That's the language. And then if you go back to the third page of the ordinance, you'll see that there's an amendment to the definition of smoke or smoking with additional language. And then smoking instrument has been amended or would be amended. And so it takes care of everything by changing the definitions to make it specifically applicable.
Until they figure something else out.
Yeah, until they figure something out.
Is your sports arena, does that include the rodeo grounds?
Nothing outside. So no.
Dang it.
What's the role on major smoking at the fairgrounds?
Yeah, I was smoking at all, but I went to the rodeo Saturday and both people on either side of me were huffing. I'm like, really? I sat here first.
And of course, Councilor Welling, the owner of the facility, could take and see, even indoor, outdoor.
So, yeah, so the county,
County could put it in for something.
Yes.
even though we own it,
We
even
own
though we
the
own
land.
the land. So,
You're talking about smoking at the fairgrounds, the
Right.
county.
and I think
Govern that, however.
they don't allow smoking, but they allow vaping.
That's what the people around you were doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It was unpleasant.
Well, it's like, it's like goats. You like it.
No, for sure.
Well, I don't see any problem with this. Anybody else got any? I mean, I think the way you've gone about it, Mark, is just to add a definition. For instance, the bulk of the body of the ordinance remains the same. We just include a definition. That's what I'm reading.
And Mr. Mayor, you remember when the discussion came up, you had said you thought somewhere in the past the council had dealt with the vaping?
Yes.
And actually, I was doing something else, and in 2016, the council did pass a resolution prohibiting vaping in city buildings. So that's probably
Maybe
what-
that's what I was thinking. I knew that we had talked about it at some point, but I couldn't remember.
Vaguely.
I
Mike,
think
do you remember that, Mike? You remember that?
I remember a little bit. That's why
But that's what it was. It applied only to city buildings.
I thought we addressed it, because I said that. We addressed that. I like the wording.
So we have two sponsors all ready to go, and you can bring it up next week, whatever you want to do.
I'm thoughts. I'm comfortable with it.
3 readings.
3 readings. Oh, and one thing I did, if you'll see, that reminds me, Councilor Welling, I put in here that it would go into effect October 1st. The reason for that is so we can put as much advance notice out, so we can tell everybody that it's now clear that vaping is going to be under this code prohibiting its use in public places. So I wanted to give enough time that we could get that out there. I mentioned the original ordinance adopted in 06 went into effect 9 months after it was formally adopted in December. And I think the reason for that was we didn't have any regulation then. We wanted to give people enough advance notice as possible. So they would, and I figured, well, 2 months should be sufficient for this because it's already prohibited for other forms of smoking.
Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items? Mr. Schmidt, you got something?
Remember, I highlighted when we talked about this, like, a month or so ago. And I think I sent it to you, Mr. Harris, about the definition of one of these that was left out, but I think it's been taken care of, I just haven't had time.
Well, if you find it,
Sure it has.
I'll go back and check and see if I can find that. If not, yeah, let me know.
And we've got plenty of time, no matter what, we've got 2 readings, massage it.
Right.
Mike,
Just one quick comment. I want to thank Chief Branish for having a lot of semi trucks with LA or BP now trucking so much stuff out of their new shop that we're just have lots of. Yesterday was only 4. Today was another busy day of semis going down Constitution. And
so you're not talking about the vaping ordinance?
I'm just saying, you said in the comments, I just wanted to sit next to my.
Anything else on the vaping? If not, I guess that's the bulk of our agenda, so thank you again.
Thank you.